Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology 18.2 Part 2. 咁呢係第二部分嘅 video 啦 alright? So this video we're going to focus on what if our blood glucose level cannot be regulated. 如果唔能夠有效咁樣調節嘅話 what will happen? Alright? So there is this famous disease called diabetes. Alright? In short,我哋會叫 diabetes 啦 but try to read this after me. 我哋叫做 diabetes mellitus. OK? 簡單嚟講就係糖尿病啦。Alright, so what happens and lead to this disease? 咁導致呢個疾病嘅原因 is because we fail to regulate the blood glucose level. Okay? So usually when the blood glucose level is too high for a long time, 係長時間啦，而且係 the level is too high 太高嘅話啦 so it will lead to this diabetes 導致有糖尿病嘅。Okay, so in other words, we can say that the glucose uptake is inefficient. Okay, so our body cannot remove the excess glucose efficiently. 唔能夠將一個多餘嘅 excess 嘅 glucose 啦，係 efficiently 有效咁樣去 remove 移除嘅。Alright, so therefore usually for these patients, 呢啲嘅 diabetes 嘅 patients 啦，即係代表佢哋呢啲病人啦 they will have a very high blood glucose level, especially after a meal. Okay, so here I would like to do a little practice. So why is it after a meal? So normally, like for example, after you eat a bowl of rice, why will your blood glucose level increase? 點解會突然間上升咗呢？ It is not immediately. Alright, 唔係即刻發生嘅喎。So first of all, we need to carry out one process called the digestion. Okay, 我哋會進行一個消化啦。So we digest the bowl of rice, and what will happen? So after we digest the bowl of rice, so for example, it turns from carbohydrates to glucose, right? It turns from carbohydrate to glucose. And then what happened? After digestion, we need to carry out absorption. Okay, so where is it absorbed? It is absorbed into our small intestine. 咁就會去到我哋嘅小腸嗰度啦，吸收咗啦。And after that, okay, after that 之後啦 our blood glucose level will increase. Will rise, okay, increase. 就會上升咗啦。So just a little reminder, okay, so this process, digestion and then absorption, takes a little bit of time. 咁就可能 maybe like 1 hour or more than 1 hour for these two processes to take place. 咁就進行呢兩個 process 嘅。So it's not like right after we eat a meal and then we feel sleepy already. It's not like that. Alright, not immediately. 唔係即刻發生嘅。Alright. So if we have this high blood glucose level for a long time, then it can damage our blood vessels quite severely. Severe 呢一隻字自己度讀啦。Severe means a large scale， 好嚴重嘅，得唔得 ？Okay, so it is going to damage the blood vessels， 我哋嘅血管啦，related to our heart, our kidneys, and etc. Alright, heart is very easy to understand. For kidneys, this one I would like to teach you some extra knowledge, and we'll repeat that again in book 5. 咁第5本書我哋會再講過㗎。So what is the function of kidneys? Kidney is actually filtering. It's doing some filtration. 係不斷喺度過濾緊嘅。And what is it filtering? Is it filtering body fluid or tissue fluid? The answer is no. It is actually filtering our blood. Okay, so it's like all the time. Okay, just like the heart. Every second it is trying to filter our blood. And all the things like the bad things, for example, 相對冇咁好嘢啦 for example, the urea. Okay, the salt. All of them are actually present in blood. And in the kidney, it is trying to help us remove some of them. Okay, not all of them, 唔係全部嘅。Okay, so for more detailed things, I'll repeat that again in book 5. Alright, so at the same time, normally it will not have any glucose detected. 正常情況嚟講，唔應該有任何嘅 glucose. Alright, so the kidneys keep on filtering the blood, and these unwanted things, some of them will be removed. And how is it removed? You will find that in the urine. Okay, so after you filter the blood, it will be passed out through urination. 咁就喺呢個排尿嘅過程入邊啦，就會係 remove 咗啦。Alright? So once again, it's normally we don't see any glucose in the urine. Okay, 正常嚟講唔會見得到嘅。However, 就係啦 when there is excess glucose， 當有 too much glucose because the blood glucose level is too high. Alright? So the kidneys will not be able to reabsorb. 咁呢一個 process is also very important. Again in book 5。咁自己去讀一讀先啦。We say reabsorption. 呢個叫重吸收。Okay? So normally, other than the unwanted material, 即係嚟 salts 啊、urea 之外啦 there are also some wanted materials. Okay? For example, some nutrients and useful materials. Okay? So they will be reabsorbed. 正常情況之下，佢哋會重新吸收咗嘅 and get back into our body. However, when the blood glucose level is too high, it will not be able to reabsorb all of them. Okay? And in turn, 發生咩事呢？ So they will be excreted in urine. Excreted 即係代表排出啦。Okay? 或者中文嚟講，嚴格嚟講叫排遺啦。Okay? So they will be excreted in urine. And this means we can find glucose in the urine. And this is the indication. 自己讀到呢個字啦 indication. Indicate 係代表指標、指示。Indication 都係解指示啦。That means we have diabetes mellitus. Okay? 就代表我哋有糖尿病啦。So in Chinese, it's very easy. 糖尿病. That means we can find 糖 in urine, in 尿啦. Alright? So last bit, try to do not mix up with this word. Okay? So diabetes is one disease, but this one is called diabetics. Diabetics. 自己讀讀啦. So diabetics means the patient with diabetes. 係個有 diabetes 嘅病人. Okay? Patients. So one last thing is that this diabetics, 呢啲嘅病人啦 they will still pass urine frequently because, for example, they will still need to remove the salts, they will still need to remove the urea. Alright? So normally, they will feel very thirsty and tired. Okay? 好啦 so this diagram shows one of them is a diabetic, 即係代表佢係一個病人啦 and the other one is a non-diabetic. Okay? So this is a normal level for a normal person. Okay? This is what we see. However, for diabetic, you can see that the blood glucose level is very, very different from a normal person. Okay, so let's look at the following description. Alright? Before every time when we look at diagram, we need to be careful. 要睇啲乜嘢呢? X and Y axis. So once again, this is the Y. 去向上行一個係 Y 軸啦 ，is Y axis. And this one going to the right, 行右手邊個 is X axis. Alright? 好啦 ，Y axis 呢度就會見到啦，係 blood glucose level。Alright？ 然後啦 ，X axis 咧就代表呢個 time 啦。And this one is actually showing us 就係 after a person drinks 呢個 glucose solution， 佢飲完一個糖水之後 ，so after that there are some hours pass， 有啲嘅時間過咗啦。And what is happening? Okay, so let's see. First of all, we focus on the normal person first， 集中喺一個正常人嗰度啦。So first of all, 你會見到啦，佢係一個 normal person, and all the glucose can be reabsorbed. Okay? Sorry. 未到嗰個過程啊 sorry. So the glucose can be absorbed from your small intestine. So just like what we said, after digestion, glucose is absorbed in the small intestine. Okay? So after it is absorbed, 咁當然啦，向上行啦 the blood glucose level increases. Okay? 好啦，然之後嘞喎 the receptors. Again, receptors 就會 stimulate 咗呢個 pancreas 啦。So the pancreas will produce more insulin. Insulin, what is the effect? 佢會做啲乜嘢㗎 ？Two things. One of them 就係 convert more glucose into glycogen as storage 咯，作為一個儲備啦。然後今次就會有 liver cell 同 muscle cell 啦。And another one 就係 stimulate 呢個 body cell to consume more glucose 係 for respiration. Okay, these two are the effects. 兩個影響啦。然之後啦 therefore, the blood glucose level is gradually decreasing. 就慢慢去跌翻落去啦 and get back to the normal level. Okay? 而且咧 as you can see, it's like within 2 hours. Please write some extra thing here. 幫我寫少少嘢啦。 So within 2 hours is not a must， 唔係一個唔係一個必然嘅。So we're just saying like in a short time， 喺一個短時間之內。Okay, it get back to the normal level, normal range in a short time. Okay, so one last thing is that when you look at this fluctuation， 你望到呢一個嘅波動嘅話啦 ，you should remember that the glucose level whenever we carry out homeostasis, it's not like a flat line。無論 temperature 又好 ，water potential 又好，呢個嘅 blood glucose level 都好。Okay, it should not be a flat line. It should be a fluctuation. Okay. 好啦 ，number 3 and number 4， we focus on this the upper line 係睇一睇上面呢條線啦。Alright, so that is a person with diabetes， 或者我哋講佢係一個 diabetic 啦。So when we talk about this diabetic, first of all, the glucose uptake again comes from the glucose uptake 啦，咁就會係 again it absorb glucose from the small intestine， 佢會喺個小腸度 carry out absorption 啦。所以啦，正常嚟講 ，it still rises very quickly. Okay, however 發生咩事呢？ However, the glucose uptake is inefficient. 無論係 by body cells 又好 ，liver cells 又好 ，it is inefficient. So therefore, this time it rises a lot more quickly. Okay, so remember that 就係正常嚟講 ，your body cells they keep on using the glucose. However, since you are diabetic， 你係一個糖尿病人 ，you cannot uptake the glucose， 唔可以直接吸收呢啲 glucose efficiently。OK， 唔能夠有效咁樣吸收啦，所以 therefore it rises rather quickly。OK， 你會見到係斜啲嘅 ，it's more diagonal compared to a normal person。OK，it rises more rapidly。OK， 好啦 ，of course， 咁然啦 ，what is happening？ 咁 when this level is too high， 咁我哋就會知道啦。So glucose， they cannot secrete insulin. Okay, there are two different types of diabetes, but we'll describe them later. 咁下一個部分先再講啦。Okay， 好啦 ，so the insulin cannot be really helping the diabetic， 唔能夠好有效咁幫助到呢一個糖尿病人嘅喎。Okay, so therefore you can find so how is the blood glucose level decreasing？ 點樣去令到佢下跌呢？ And the reason is it is excreted in urine， 係慢慢等到呢啲嘅 glucose excretion in urine。Okay, this way the blood glucose level will decrease gradually， 慢慢咁樣去跌翻低嘅。But as you can see, by urination, this decrease in glucose is very effective 定係 ineffective 啊？係 very ineffective 㗎，非常之冇效嘅。所以啦 ，therefore you can see that the blood glucose level is still a lot higher than that of a normal person， 係比一個正常人嚟講係高好多啦。And even when we compare to the initial level， 你望到呢一隻字嘅 initial level， 即係代表一開始嗰陣時最初嘅嗰個 level 嘅最初嘅水平。Okay, it is still a lot higher. Okay, so that's mainly the difference between a diabetic and normal person. 好啦 just as I said, there are two different types of diabetes， 有兩種嘅 diabetes 啦。So one of them is insulin dependent。咁只到讀呢隻字啦 ，dependent。Dependent means 依賴啦。Okay, we have learned dependent variable, right？ 咁就依賴啲乜嘢咧 ？So it is depending on the insulin。佢需要依賴呢個 insulin 嘅。So this one is also known as type 1 diabetes. Both names you need to remember them. Okay, because in MC 係 MC 嘅地方啦 ，you may see either names。你可能見到其中一隻字嘅。Alright, so this one is called type 1. So what happened to the people with type 1 diabetes？ 佢哋會點咧 ？They can produce too little， 或者係 they cannot produce any insulin。最主要嘅原因 ，the major factor is that they cannot produce enough insulin， 係有唔足夠嘅 insulin。Alright, so therefore they need to depend on the insulin。佢需要依賴一個 insulin 啦，所以啦 they need to have regular insulin injections， 一個有規律嘅定期嘅 insulin 嘅注射啦。Alright, to control their blood glucose levels. And there are some activities which they need to do regularly。佢哋要定期做一啲嘅行為啦。First of all is monitoring. This is very important. Okay, so it's like after each meal they need to pinpoint their finger. Is it pinpoint? They need to pinch their fingers. okay, and test their blood glucose levels. And they need to maintain a healthy eating. They cannot eat something too sweet, for example. And they need to have a healthy lifestyle, so they need to have regular physical activities. 即係正常嘅運動啦。Okay, so this one is insulin dependent, also called type 1 diabetes. 好啦，咁而另外一個啦 the other one is type 2 diabetes, and this time, even if they have enough insulin, 即使佢哋有足夠嘅胰島素、足夠嘅 insulin, it is still not going to help. 係唔足夠，係冇幫助嘅。It is not going to help. Okay, because this time the body cells, okay, we are talking about all the body cells, including liver cell, muscle cell, any body cell. They are insensitive to insulin. Insensitive 自己都讀啦。Insensitive 代表敏感。Okay, insensitive to insulin. So therefore 啦 no matter whether your insulin level 係 high or low, you will still, your body cells, they are not going to uptake the blood glucose. 佢哋唔會幫你食咗啲 glucose 嘅。Okay, so therefore 啦 this time, this one is a bit more difficult to handle. 相對難少少去處理㗎。But they have to do these activities regularly as well. 要定時啦，定係咁樣做呢啲嘢 ，monitor blood glucose level 咯 ，healthy eating 同埋有一個 healthy lifestyle，係有一個 regular physical activities 嘅。Okay, so this one is a very typical example when we ask this question. This is 一個好典型嘅 background 好典型嘅背景啦。So we'll ask you about the insulin. Okay, so there are two scientists discovering insulin. 佢哋發現咗啦，有呢個嘅 insulin 嘅。Okay, so this happens after they experiment on dogs. So what did they do? 佢做咗啲乜嘢咧？ They removed their pancreas. 係拎走咗佢哋嘅胰臟啦。And then the dogs with the pancreas removed. 拎走咗之後咧 the dogs develop diabetes mellitus. 就慢慢有咗糖尿病啦。So what did they do afterwards? They put in 或者 inject 啦，佢注射翻一啲嘅 extracts of pancreas， 將一啲胰臟所產生出嚟嘅嘢啦 ，extracts，OK， 佢所分泌嘅嘢啦 ，OK，so they inject these extracts back into the dog， 慢慢打翻入去隻狗嗰度 ，and then we can see that the symptoms 即係代表個症狀啦 ，the symptoms of the diabetes is relieved。係舒緩咗嘅。嗱，呢啲字全部都應該要識㗎啦 ，alright？ Inject 注射啦 ，symptoms 係代表呢個嘅症狀，然後最尾 relieved 係代表舒緩咗啦。Okay, so after they find out that the pancreas is very important, or let's say the extract of your pancreas 呢個胰臟嘅分泌出嚟嘅嘢咧 is very important to relieve 呢一個嘅 diabetes mellitus。係對於舒緩呢個糖尿病好有用嘅喎。So therefore later they develop this anti-diabetic substance。OK， 佢就發明咗呢樣嘢啦，就係呢個抗你嗰個嘅糖尿病嘅一啲嘅藥物啦。OK，so this let's say substance or medicine 就會叫做 insulin， 就係胰島素啦。OK，so in the following you'll see 3 purple pages. I need to use another video to describe you about these 3 purple pages. But then let's move on. Alright? So now can you please go to your book page 14. 14頁嗰度啦 A little bit extra knowledge. This one is less tested, but this is quite important. Just for your basic knowledge. 平時嘅一個知識啦。So sometimes our blood glucose level is not always too high. Sometimes it can be too low. 係太低嗰陣時啦。And that means we will not be having enough glucose for respiration. That means we will not be having enough energy. 得唔得？唔足夠 glucose for respiration, less energy 或者係 no energy 啦 is released. 所以啦 therefore what will happen? 自己讀一讀啦，我哋叫做 hypoglycemia. OK， 低血糖症啦。So this disease will happen, and when we are having a blood glucose level too low, what will happen is you can imagine dizziness, 你會暈啦 tiredness, 你會攰啦 OK, and some other symptoms. Alright? 好啦 so diabetics, that means 糖尿病人啦 they may have this disease quite easily. Why? Because especially after they have the prolonged exercise. 自己讀咗呢個字啦 prolonged. Prolonged means a long time. 長期運動之後啦 they may have this hypoglycemia. Okay? Because the reason is they cannot really store glycogen， 佢哋唔會儲存到呢一個嘅 glycogen 啦 ，OK？Or they can't store a lot of glycogen，alright？ 好啦，然之後咯，所以 therefore，the glucose are used up very quickly， 好快咁樣就會用完啦。And in that case, they do not have any glucose anymore. They do not have any more energy, and they may have this problem. 就會有呢個嘅情況出現咗啦。So there are also other reasons. 有啲其他原因嘅。You're eating too little， 太少啦。So not enough glucose again, or you're injecting too much insulin. So remember the function of insulin. 咁佢功用係啲乜嘢咧？ Insulin helps us convert the glucose into glycogen 嘅，得唔得？ So when we inject too much insulin, so too much glucose is converted. 大部分嘅呢個嘅 glucose is converted to become 呢個嘅 glycogen. And in that case 又係啦 ，our body has too little glucose 太少，所以啦就會導致到 lead to 呢個 hypoglycemia. Alright? So these people or these patients 呢啲嘅病人啦。We suggest them to bring some sweets with them all the time. 係任何時候都要帶一啲糖㗎。And that is because why not bring a bread? Why not bring a bowl of rice? 點解唔永遠帶住一兜飯啊，一個麵包咧？ This is quite important, and I think this is a question you guys have been asked to answer. 係其中一條問過你哋嘅問題啦。And the reason is because sweets can increase 或者係 raise 咗啦，提升咗啦，你嘅 blood glucose level very quickly compared to a loaf of bread, compared to a bowl of rice. Alright? So that's the first green box, and this one is another green box. This one I think is you may be more familiar with it， 可能會相對熟悉少少嘅。我哋叫 GI index，GI 指標啦，我就係咁講。可能中文聽過啊。So glycemic index. So what is this? 我哋會等於係this is like telling us how fast the food is going to result in 一個 increase in blood glucose level. Okay? Just imagine. Okay. So if the GI index is too high, normally it is not good. Why? Because in that case, our blood glucose level will rise too quickly. 係突然間 rapidly, suddenly 係 have a big increment. 係突然間有一個好大嘅一個上升。Okay, and this is not really good for our body. Alright, for example 啦 ，what are the examples of high GI food? 有呢個 high 嘅 glycemic index 咧 ，for example, just now we have talked about sweets， 一啲嘅糖類啦 ，and the white rice 白飯啦 ，alright。So they will increase our blood glucose level quickly and suddenly, which is not very good to our body. Alright, and the reason to this is because they can be digested easily， 好快咁樣就可以消化到啦。Okay, of course, when compared to white rice and sweets will be much faster， 會再快啲啦。Okay， 好啦 ，however for low GI food, for example 你就 oatmeal 一啲嘅藜麥啦、麥類嘅嘢啦 ，so they will lead to a smaller fluctuation。佢會導致一個少啲嘅波動㗎。As you can see this one, the red line, this is low GI food, alright? And in this cases, because it takes more time to digest them, and the glucose will released slowly， 係慢慢咁樣被釋放出嚟嘅。And one last but not least, diabetics 呢啲嘅 patients 啦，糖尿病病人啦 ，are suggested to have more low GI food， 係食多少少呢啲嘅低 GI 嘅食物啦 ，instead of having the high GI food. Alright, so that their blood glucose level can be regulated more easily， 咁就容易啲去控制佢啦。So that's all for this video, and I'm going to give you 5 seconds to like pause the video and start doing this part yourself. Okay? So let's count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So let's continue. 咁你就講到啦 ，question 1 and 2啦 ，true and false. So always underline the keywords again. 好啦，我哋會講啦 ，regulation of blood glucose levels 係一個控制緊呢個 blood glucose level 嗰陣時 ，the insulin will catalyze. Try to say this word, catalyze. Catalyze means 係 facilitate. So either word you need to know their meaning, alright? And even know how to spell them. Facilitate. Facilitate is not the same as facility. Facility 係設施 ，OK? Totally different. facilitate 係促進 ，OK boosting 係促進嚟嘅 ，alright so the insulin will boost the conversion of glucose into glycogen. The answer is yes. Okay, so it's going to convert the glucose, excess glucose, into glycogen. Okay, please put down this word for me. It is better to write not just glucose, yes, excess glucose. The excess glucose will be converted into glycogen. Alright, 係過多嘅。And then the next one, diabetics 呢啲嘅病人啦 they are advised to include 即係代表包含啦，食啲乜嘢咧 complex carbohydrates rather than simple sugars in their diet. So you may not know the word complex carbohydrates， 但係啦你要知道 rather than 即係代表係而唔係啦，而唔係 simple sugars 一啲好簡單嘅糖類。So you will know that the complex carbohydrates is the opposite， 其實係 simple sugar 嘅相反嘅。所以咧佢就話咯 ，diabetics 係 advised 係建議啦，去 eat 去食啲乜嘢啊 complex carbohydrates， 而唔係呢個嘅 simple sugars。OK in their diets 即係代表佢哋嘅膳食啦。Because 原因係啲乜嘢 ？Of course this is true。前半句呢度啦 ，the first half sentence this is true。咁樣啦就係 because complex carbohydrate will cause smaller fluctuation in your blood glucose level. This is also true. Alright, the reason is 因為呢啲嘅 complex carbohydrate just like the oatmeal 就好似 oatmeal 咁樣啦，你會見到啦 it is a low GI food and this time it causes a smaller fluctuation in blood glucose levels. Okay, so this one is also true. Let's go on to number 3. 咁佢就話啦 a person is not taking any food just like fasting. We can put down the word here, fasting. Fast 係代表快啦 but fasting is another is a word with another meaning， 得唔得？另外一個意思嚟嘅。So they are carrying out fasting 即係絕食啦 for 24 hours. So what will increase? First of all, we can see that glucose will increase no way啦 ，insulin 都會no way啦 because it's converting excess glucose into glycogen. No way, right? So B and D must be wrong. So is it glycogen increase or glucagon increase? The answer is A. Okay, it's not glycogen. Glycogen is likely converted to glucose, right? 咁所以啦 so what is helping the conversion of glycogen to glucose? 邊一個會將 glycogen 變成 glucose 㗎 ？The answer is glucagon. Number 4. Malfunction 指到讀呢一隻字 malfunction means it is not functioning well 係一個唔能夠正常運作嘅。Alright, malfunctioning of which of the following organs 以下嘅邊一個 organ 器官咯就會 cause diabetes mellitus 導致糖尿病呢 So it's like asking you what is helping us to regulate the blood glucose level. Alright, so of course liver yes, pancreas yes, kidneys not really. Okay, kidneys mainly concerned about the water potential 或者係講 water content in our body 係控制緊個水量為主嘅。So the answer is 1 and 3 C. And then this one is quite a difficult diagram, but if you are being patient, 你夠冷靜嘅話啦，有耐性嘅話啦 and read the XY axis well, then you should be able to understand what is happening. 得唔得 ？OK， 我哋睇睇咯。So this diagram, this graph is showing you the effect 佢哋嘅影響啦 of your blood glucose level on the rate of secretion of hormone P and Q. OK， 即係代表啦 blood glucose level 你會望到 X 一個位啦 ，the X-axis is increasing from the left to the right， 由左邊去到右手邊係增加緊嘅。So how is it going to affect 點樣影響到呢一個 secretion 分泌出嚟嘅 hormone P and Q？P 同埋 Q 嘅激素咧 ？OK， so which one is P? This one is P. OK, decreasing. This one is Q, increasing. So let's look at it. 你會望到啦，一個 low blood glucose level. Okay, so one of them is high level. 喺低嗰陣時會高嘅。This one, is it glucagon or insulin? This one is glucagon. 咁你可以自己輕寫一寫啦。Sorry, glucagon. Okay, so this one is glucagon. And on the other hand, 就係啦 when the blood glucose level increases to a very high level, 去到一個高嘅位置嗰陣時 Q increases. So what is Q? Q is insulin. Alright, so after you put this down, then it should not be too difficult to understand the following question. 唔會太難嘅啫。 Okay, once again, P is glucagon and Q is insulin. Always try to find out some cues 或者 find out some clues 揾一啲嘅小提示啦 and put it down in the question 得唔得 ？OK， 佢就話啦 ，which of following is correct？ 好，第一樣啦 ，P and Q are insulin and glucagon respectively，respectively 即係表分別地啊 ，OK，so P is insulin and Q is glucagon. The answer is obviously wrong 啦，得唔得？一定係錯噶啦。And then B, why did I highlight this one? So hormone P and Q are transported in ducts. So if you remember well, I think in chapter 16, right? Chapter 16. Other than talking about the nervous system, we also talk about the endocrine system. And when we talk about the endocrine system, 內分泌系統嗰陣時, we have another name. We say that they are the ductless system. 佢哋係無管道㗎。Alright, so these two, insulin and glucagon, they are never transported in ducts. 佢哋係唔會用管道去 transport 㗎。So B must be wrong as well. 好啦，再嚟咯喎 C. P is secreted only when the blood glucose level is lower than 5. Okay, so very stupid question. P 係 only secreted 係低過 5. As we can see, when we look at this line, is it really 0? The answer is no. Okay, 唔係真正嘅 0. 0 should be here, right? So maybe it's like 0.0001, I don't care. But it is still secreted. 佢仍然都係分泌緊㗎。And once again, let me remind you, it's like both insulin and glucagon is released at the same time. 係同一時間一定有 secrete 嘅。Alright, only more or less. 即係多啲定係少啲嘅分別啫。And the answer is obviously D. 咁就係咩啊？佢同人講 action of hormone Q, which is insulin, can bring the blood glucose level down. 咁因為 insulin 啦就會 convert 咗 excess glucose into glycogen. Okay, so it will bring down the blood glucose level. Okay, so the answer is D. That's all for this video. I'm sorry for a bit long for this video. Okay, so please work hard and understand these concepts. I'll see you in the next one talking about the purple pages. Bye bye.